The story of Ruth and Boaz is a story of loyalty, faithfulness, and divine providence. Here is a summary of their story. Ruth and Boaz. The story begins during the time of the Judges, a period of instability and hardship for Israel. A famine forces a man named Elimelech, his wife Naomi, and their 2 sons to leave Bethlehem and settle in Moab. Tragically, Elimelech dies, and Naomi is left with her sons, who marry Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. After about 10 years, both sons also die, leaving Naomi, Orpah, and Ruth widowed. Naomi's return to Bethlehem. Hearing that the famine in Bethlehem has ended, Naomi decides to return to her homeland. She urges her daughters-in-law to stay in Moab and remarry. Orpah reluctantly agrees, but Ruth refuses to leave Naomi. In a powerful declaration of loyalty, Ruth says, "Do not urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go I will go, and where you stay I will stay. Your people will be my people and your God my God. Where you die I will die, and there I will be buried." Ruth 1 verses 16 to 17. Ruth and Naomi in Bethlehem. Naomi and Ruth return to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. To provide for them, Ruth goes to glean in the fields. Providence leads her to the field of Boaz, a relative of Elimelech. Boaz notices Ruth and, learning of her loyalty to Naomi, treats her with kindness and generosity. He ensures she is safe while gleaning and instructs his workers to leave extra grain for her. Boaz as a kinsman redeemer. Naomi recognizes Boaz as a potential kinsman redeemer, a relative who could marry Ruth to preserve the family lineage. Following Naomi's advice, Ruth approaches Boaz at the threshing floor, a customary place for such proposals, and asks him to spread his garment over her, symbolizing his protection and willingness to marry her. Boaz is moved by Ruth's loyalty and integrity. However, he mentions there is a closer relative who has the first right of redemption. The next day, Boaz meets with this relative before the town elders. The relative declines to redeem Ruth, leaving Boaz free to marry her. Marriage and blessings. Boaz and Ruth marry, and God blesses them with a son named Obed. The women of Bethlehem rejoice with Naomi, praising God for providing a redeemer for her family. Naomi cares for Obed, and he becomes the grandfather of King David, placing Ruth, a Moabite, in the lineage of Jesus Christ. Significance. The story of Ruth and Boaz is significant for several reasons. Loyalty and faithfulness. Ruth's loyalty to Naomi and Boaz's faithfulness to his duties highlight the virtues of steadfastness and integrity. Providence. The story demonstrates God's providential care and guidance, even through difficult circumstances. Inclusivity. Ruth, a Moabite, becomes part of the lineage of David and Jesus, emphasizing God's inclusive plan of salvation for all people. The story of Ruth and Boaz is a timeless reminder of God's faithfulness and the blessings that come from living in obedience and loyalty to Him.